opponents in the low 60s this year. They're going to try to slow the pace today, keep the Jackets in an ugly game and muck it up. So we're underway here, Richard.
Georgia Tech in the home white. Florida A&M wears orange on this Sunday afternoon. Rod Melton Jr. is their point guard. You saw him get the offense started. Now it's MJ Randolph on the wing, watched there by Brandon Alston. Inside, they worked it to DJ Jones. He couldn't finish. Georgia Tech will get its first crack at it. You see the starters for the Rattlers. Just one freshman among those 5 on the floor. Meanwhile, for Georgia Tech, Jose Alvarado, we met during our open as the Yellow Jackets' leading scorer. James Banks to third in the starting lineup once again, and getting the entry pass down low. He's had back
as the Jackets making an effort to throw it into Banks.
James Banks averaging 7 points, a team-leading 9 rebounds. He misses his first free throw. There's a large disparity between the way the Yellow Jackets shoot free throws at home and on the road. On the road, they are at 81% in 3 games. At home, less than 64% now with those 2 misses.
Makes no sense to me, Richard. Makes no sense. Do the math there.
Game remains scoreless here in the opening inning as a result. Florida A&M starts a pair of 6'9" players. That was Mezerique offering the screen out high as the Rattlers work on the perimeter. Here's Ravenel, their go-to guy with the shot clock running down, had to force it. The rebound cleared by Moses Wright.
Yeah, keys to the game, Richard, for Florida A&M, I think they need to shorten the game, play this game in the low 60s. They're going to have to limit possessions, work the clock, and limit fouls. Keep Georgia Tech off the line. Georgia Tech's going to try to push the ball. They're going to look to get transition, play this game in the 70s, and as you saw in that first possession, Richard, paint touches for Georgia Tech. They must throw it inside the Banks and take advantage of the size.
Shot clock was at 2, and Alvarado missed. Banks, though, again
was up off his feet, yelling at the Rattlers, hey, put a body on Banks, push him out.
Both Jones and Mezerique, the starting post players for Florida A&M, each have a personal foul now, trying to contend with Banks. 1-0 in favor of the Yellow Jackets. Banks goes 2 for 2. And off the made free throw, a chance for Georgia Tech to set up with the pressure. Again, the Rattlers average about 63 points a game. They're making 6.5 threes per game. They've got a couple of very good percentage three-point shooters. They'll work it inside, though. Mezerique challenged as he went for the rim. Brandon Alston coming away with it. Moses Wright with a three-point look. He was well off the mark. No field goals so far. We've played almost 2.5 minutes. Melton changes all that.
Very nice high ball screen there on the Rattlers. Georgia Tech failed to pick up. Jose Alvarado took a shot. Big man's got to call that screen, Richard.
Tied at 2. Jose Alvarado working with Brandon Alston on the perimeter. Banks with a high post touch right here. Alston strong. That's Georgia Tech's first bucket.
Alston known for his perimeter shooting, 11 of 18 for 3 on the year, shooting at 61% from beyond the arc. But you saw there the effort to go inside and get it to the rack.
5-ball turnover, a chance to run.
Credit Hayward with the pass. He drew the defender, had great body control, avoids the charge. Very nice transition offense by the Yellow Jackets to extend the lead to 4.
Georgia Tech has some things rolling right now and a 6-2 advantage. Alston up to watch Melton at distance. Mezerique in the lane. They wanted to get him involved. Missed on the jump hook. See if Georgia Tech can continue this run now.
The Georgia Tech zone defensively giving FAMU some problems early on.
Tough shot for Alston. I think he was looking for a call. MJ Randolph down to the forecourt, a freshman out of Pensacola.
Won by 22 and had 11 three-pointers, so that will be a factor here tonight. And the Rattlers shooting 38+% from beyond the arc on the season. Georgia Tech, on the other hand, is one of the top 10 in the country at defending the three. So key stat to watch for sure. And then free throws, we see them right now. Who can get to the line today and who can convert at the line?
MJ Randolph made 1 out of 2 at the line. So a 6-3 Georgia Tech lead. Out of the timeout, A.D. Gay is on the floor now for the Yellow Jackets, giving James Banks a breather. Alvarado with a nice stop and go.
So explosive, his change of pace, change of speed, and his head is always up. Eyes are up, he can see the floor. That time the defender did not get him, finishes right at the rim, but he's also a tremendous passer.
Alvarado's been on a roll in double figures in 4 straight games. Georgia Tech playing with an 8-3 lead. Melton with that quick first step out.
7-foot wingspans on both of them. They come running at you, Richard, on the perimeter. That's a different look that you cannot replicate in practice.
Sub for Florida A&M. Melton, who just committed the turnover, sits down. Cameron Reeves now in the game. He's a 6'2" tall sophomore from Champaign, Illinois. Moses Wright playing away from the basket. Alvarado is trying to create some space off that one side of the floor. And the Yellow Jackets want to get paint touches to help their guards out. Alvarado down the baseline. Nice move by him.
Impressive. He was 0 of 6 against St. John's, and he kind of got happy behind the three, was settling, and you see him tonight really getting into the crowd.
Meanwhile, has already committed 3 turnovers.
Keep saying tonight, Richard, it's only 2:30, but it's dark and rainy outside. There's no light. I feel like it's nighttime. We haven't seen the sun in Atlanta in a week.
And credit to all the fans who came out here this afternoon. Shot clock is at 10 as Haywood works on the perimeter. Alvarado knows what the shot clock is at as he turned and shot the long jumper. Was it deflected? Jose Alvarado taking a seat. I doubt it will be for long. Jose is logging major minutes, as we saw during the Open.
And when he is out of the game for the Jackets, they don't really have a true point guard to back up. DeVoe will handle the point. Alston will handle some of those duties. It's kind of a point guard by committee.
Cameron Reeves is the point guard right now for A&M. He finds some room. Finished nicely with the left hand.
And that's what the Rattlers need to do, Richard, is move the ball, attack the gaps. Georgia Tech, with their length, sometimes can have poor closeouts, and Florida A&M needs to take advantage of those poor closeouts.
Gay trying to use his size and length to his advantage. Moses Wright, size and length of his own, and a very nice piece of body control to finish.
And what Coach McCollum will have to address with his team in the next timeout is dribble penetration way too easy early on right now. Jackets having their way with getting to the paint, get easy looks at the basket.
8 of 12 points for Georgia Tech have come from the paint so far in building this 12-5 lead. Richard Anderson is number 10. Keep an eye on him as he's a shooter. Tried to force it inside, and Gay and Alston were there to break up the play. 4 Florida A&M turnovers here in the first 7.5 minutes. Alston off the shot fake, got undercut and finished for the Rattlers.
Yes, not a lot of depth at that position for the Rattlers. And more importantly, the Jackets getting to the line again with some freebies. And we spoke about free throws being a key stat to watch. Jackets leading in that department right now, 3 of 5 at the line. They continue to pound it inside the paint.
First double-figure lead for Georgia Tech. It's 15-5. Mezzarike down low, got the mismatch against Alston, was able to finish.
It was very crisp ball movement. FAMU moving the ball around the perimeter. Jackets fell asleep on the interior on that possession.
Ife Muzurike, 6'9" tall from Lagos, Nigeria. He, like Michael DeVoe, played at Montverde Academy. Alston tried to get between defenders. Anderson
with Florida A&M with 212 made three-pointers.
Georgia Tech again pressing the backcourt against the Rattlers. Here's Ravenel coming up short on the three-point try. Mizareke with the follow. They try and keep it alive on the boards. And finally the Yellow Jackets control the rebound with Jabari Phillips coming away with it.
And Alvarado, how we mentioned on the last graphic, he leads in almost all statistical categories, minus rebounding, but he's probably Georgia Tech's leading rebounding guard. He's checking in, like you said. You won't see him on the bench often tonight. He's getting ready.
So Moses Wright sits. Jose Alvarado's back on the floor as freshman Khalid Moore inbounds for Georgia Tech. Phillips got a touch. Gay involved in the paint, took on two defenders.
He really didn't have anywhere to go. Was quick to put it on the ground, which can sometimes cause problems in the paint for the big players.
15 foul as Tech inbounds with 20 on the shot clock. Gay rolling and missing. The rebound went to Moraine.
Better quality paint touch. Abdullah Gay surveyed the middle, saw no double team and put it down.
That's Cameron Reeves right there. He's got 4 points coming off the bench, leading the Florida A&M scoring. Rattlers are back within 6. It's 15-9. A collision on the wing. Shem's
offensive strength led the nation. Junior college three-point field goal percentage last year at 54% from Seminole State, but doing it on the defensive end, and sometimes, Richard, that will spark the offensive player. You make a nice defensive effort, get your confidence going, and then you can convert that into some makes on the offensive end.
Teams exchanged turnovers. Anderson was there again. Reeves had it knocked away from him, and here's Michael DeVoe for the Yellow Jackets. An open look for Moore from the left corner. Our first three-pointer of the game.
Freshman to freshman on that defense to offense conversion. Very nice job getting off the ball. DeVoe finding the open man, and Jackets convert.
Shot clock is down to 7. Threw it away. Moraine with the pass, picked off by Alvarado. DeVoe with a slow burn, then tried to get down inside.
Defense getting it done again for Coach Passner.
Just one three-point shot so far for Florida A&M. He's replaced by Rod Milton Jr.
And I think Coach McCullum, seeing there working the officials, he's going to need all the calls he can get, but I think the pace of the game offensively for FAMU, they need to get some stuff going in transition.
Banks getting it out to Moore. He's open for his second three. Yellow Jackets shoot threes very well when the passes come out of the post.
Yes, inside-out touches, and that's the ability of a guy like Banks who's come on. Started the season, got his eligibility. This is his 7th game for the Jackets, but a guy that's averaging double figures in the paint. When you can throw it in there and collapse the defense, it's going to lead to high-quality three-point attempts.
Good hustle right there. Alvarado with the help of Phillips coming away with it. And a 12-point lead for Georgia Tech. Banks unselfish. Moore's pass almost got away, and it turns into a turnover. Numbers here, it's a 3-on-2 as Reeves pulls up and knocks it in for the free throw line.
Moore was a little too unselfish there. The season of giving, he could have gone up with the reverse layup, tried to give it back to Banks as a thank you for the pass. Turnover led to good offense for the Rattlers.
Reeves has 6 points, more than half of Florida A&M scoring. Moore wide open, he knows what to do with it right there.
Baseline flex cut. Moore doing a great job moving without the basketball right now, and Jackets putting it on FAMU up 12.
He's got 8. That's back-to-back games with new season highs for the freshman. He was coming off the 6-point effort against St. John's down in Miami. 23-11 in favor of Georgia Tech. Melton able to get around Banks and finish. Rod Melton Jr., 6'1" junior out of Dothan, Alabama. It's 23-13.
For Florida A&M minus a couple turnovers. Offense has not been the problem. It's defensively, they've been letting the Jackets have their way inside the paint with those backdoor cuts like you see there by Alvarado.
Georgia Tech with its 6th turnover. Make it their 5th
in the paint. The length, his ability to eat space, shrink passing gaps as a middle guy in that Georgia Tech zone. And then on the offensive end, command a double team. We talked about inside out threes. When you can throw it to a Banks and collapse the defense, that's going to open up the perimeter for Alvarado and DeVoe on those inside out kickouts.
An interesting stretch coming up here for Georgia Tech with both Banks and Alvarado on the bench right now. Shot clock violation right there.
Just the length, the size, the ability to shrink gaps, playing really big and aggressive on the perimeter. FAMU struggling to manufacture offense.
DeVoe, Alston, Moore, Wright, and Gay are on the floor. Alvarado is on the bench with 2 personal fouls. Moore, understandably feeling confident, keeps it going. He's got 10 points in the first half.
Oh yeah, I've seen Moore a few times, but his confidence right now today, the ability, the pace at which he's playing, it seems like the game is slowing down for him. Sometimes as a freshman, it'll take 10 or 11 games to figure out the speed of play at the Division I level.
Here's DeVoe. Able to get a step on the field for the press. Gay at the front of the press will wave those long arms at the inbounder. DJ Jones is back on the floor for Florida A&M. He plays with 2 fouls. Robert McCullum is really going to have to manage his post players here in this first half. He has both Jones and Mezarike on the floor with the 2 personals. Jones missed the long 2. Mezarike had the rebound. They'll try and get Ravenel involved. He is still scoreless, and on the battle
Rattlers early on in this game.
Foul was on Abdoulaye Gay, his first personal. The 5th Georgia Tech team foul. Ravenel off the screen. Randolph met up with
practice in a MEAC program. So welcome to the ACC, young fella. Randolph has been a valuable piece of the puzzle for Coach McCullum, averaging 22 assists, 16 an offensive player that's not necessarily, on pace to get their average points. You start pressing, you start saying, man, I'm not getting my shots, I'm not getting my touches. And that's when poor quality decision making and rush shots come into play.
Melton with the shot clock to 6 is in trouble. Jones, the lefty, unable to get it to go. Moore continues to do a little bit of everything. Talked about the scoring, the rebounding a moment ago. Found Alston for that jumper.
Let's get a good look at it here. Alston doesn't miss many of those either this year, shooting a 60% clip. I don't know, Richard. He might have got away with a foul, though, so what was meant to happen is meant to happen. The Rattlers have the ball, and they're attacking offensively.
They run the double down on him. Mezarike did a nice job finding someone down inside. Yellow Jackets defense, though, is stiff right now. Alston getting through. He's earned a trip to the line. Charged the foul to Justin Ravenel. It's his first. Brandon Alston up around 77% for the year at the free throw line. Makes the first.
It's a perfect example again of Georgia Tech's defense leading to some quality offense.
And Alston, the grad student out of Vienna, Virginia. He's got 7 points now. 29-13 in favor of the Yellow Jackets. Here in the 8th all-time meeting between these two schools in men's basketball.
See the Jackets, the switching defenses, they're now in the man-to-man. So showed a lot of zone early on in this one, and then they switch over to that man-to-man defense.
DeVoe helped knock it loose.
Talking about Moore, Liv Moore, another freshman, was really the guy that stood out for the Jackets thus far in this one with 10 points, leads all scorers today.
Rattlers have to be mindful of the shot clock here. They've got 4 seconds to work with coming out of the timeout. So Melton immediately goes to work. Missed a jumper from out top. Florida A&M without a three-pointer here in this first half. That is unlike the Rattlers. On the drive, Randolph tried to penetrate. Here's Ravenel getting a touch. Melton trying to get into that defense.
Ice cold shooting, Richard. Melton, he was 14 of 24 from 3 coming in, so a 58% clip. He can't find a shot.
Florida A&M at just 30% here in this first half. Alston going strong again, has 9 points already.
Nice job by the senior putting the other senior, Justin Ravenel, on his hip, taking him right to the basket. That's the size advantage. Alston at a 6'4", 6'5" guard, the ability to put the ball on the floor. Anytime he has a smaller guard matchup, he'll see some post-ups, or he will drive them into the paint, get him on the hip and muscle him, get some great looks.
Haywood did.
Official Leslie Jones was right there on that call, making the right one. But credit the Jackets, their pace of play, their style of play, they've really taken it at Florida A&M.
Let's reset the Georgia Tech lineup. You got DeVoe, Banks, Wright, Haywood, and Alston playing. Jose Alvarado continues to be seated on the bench with 2 fouls. The Yellow Jackets have managed without him, playing with his 18-point lead.
It's a big lineup for Georgia Tech. You won't see anyone on the court, less than 6'4", big wingspans.
Jamari Phillips on the floor now for Georgia Tech, and he'll take over the ball handling.
Georgia Tech loves to go with that 1-4 high set. They will run a lot of offense through their high post, looking for back doors, looking for high-low offense, dump down, post to post. There you see James Banks, very capable shooter from 15, was taking what the defense gave, just could not convert.
And Mezzarini's called on the
but Banks and Mezzarini's are two guys that are very athletic and very mobile for their size, and both of them are not giving an inch.
Evan Cole, you saw get the touch right there. His return significant. He missed the last 5 games, dating back to his last appearance against Tennessee.
This beautiful pass by Banks, threading the needle. Then you saw the high post entry again and the back cut, really trying to loosen up that defense.
Phillips got the loose ball there after scoring the bucket down at the other end. A 20-point Georgia Tech lead here in the final minute of the first half. Cole missing down low. DeVoe open, can think about it.
Inside out, we saw the Jackets to go inside to Cole, didn't convert. Gets kicked out to DeVoe with the feet set. High quality 3, nothing but nylon.
Again, coming up at halftime, we'll visit with Moses Wright. We'll look inside the numbers, our halftime stats and highlights. About a 2.5-second difference between shot clock and first half clock here as Cameron Reeves tries to stay patient. The Rattlers are hoping that they have the final shot of the half. Ravenel pressured, has to force it up. It'll be a shot clock violation.
chance to work on some late clock situation, which they could need as they get into ACC play.
They will pass long. Banks trying to come back to the ball as it's intercepted.
That's where it all starts for them. But like I said, Georgia Tech early on this season, they've really been getting it done. Top 10 statistically in guarding the three-point line, top 10 in field goal percentage defense in all of Division I. So credit Coach Passner for really coaching up the defense early on in this season.
Yellow Jackets have Jose Alvarado back on the floor now to start the second half after he sat for a good 10 minutes due to foul difficulty in the first half. He tried to work it inside of James Banks, but surrounded by orange jerseys, the Rattlers forced a turnover, then throw it away at the other. Get the Florida A&M offense running.
Yeah, Coach McCullum sits down, takes a big exhale, and what can you do when you're coaching? You finally get a stop, you get some offensive transition, and it doesn't turn into anything.
14 turnovers so far for Florida A&M. Banks off the give and go, found one another. Curtis Haywood finishing with his first point of the game.
Textbook execution by Haywood. He throws it into the high post to right, or Banks for that matter, and then he did not waste any time. He did a sprint right into the back cut, beat the defense. Defense, their tendency is to look at the ball for that split second. Haywood took advantage. Backdoor layup wide open
this game. He averages 8 points per outing, 4.5 assists. A freshman starter for the Rattlers.
Has struggled at the free throw line. He's shooting under 40% coming in. Not a large pool of attempts for that percentage, but he knocked that one down.
Randolph goes 2 for 2. And again, following the made free throw, the Rattlers will show off their version of the press. Melton following Alvarado man-to-man all along the way. Curtis Haywood off that crossover was able to get Gowdy deep and finish it.
Hit him with the double crossover, had the defense stifled. It's all the way to the cup.
Haywood's on Georgia Tech scoring here to start the second half. A 40-15 lead for the Yellow Jackets. Ravenel again, surrounded inside.
Than that, Haywood was kind of lackadaisical following the offensive threat out on the wing, trailing. You get into some ACC level play, you're not going to want to give up those curls into the paint.
2 pounds for the Yellow Jackets. Again, the same group starting the second half that began the game for Georgia Tech. Banks against Mezzarita, and the banker is good for James Banks III.
Banks, a nice job gathering himself there. Nice touch off the glass.
His first field goal of this game.
Got to credit Coach Eric Ravenel, the assistant coach for Georgia Tech, really does a tremendous job working with the post players, developing those jump hooks, developing the counter moves, the footwork.
Steal by Wright. What will he do? Miss it.
A little bit of embarrassment there, I think.
See it again.
Oh, that was ugly. Nice sense of humor by Mr. Wright, though. He's taking it in.
Josh Pastor's even able to smile about it a little bit right now, given the team's advantage. An athlete here. This is a whole different thing, exams at Georgia Tech, and trying to play a game in the middle.
Where you have sleepless nights or 2 or 3 hours of sleep, you're just trying to find a way to get it done and get these exams over and turn the page.
Alvarado was way off on change. They began exams just this past Thursday. It carries through to the end of this coming week, so you've got a game stuck right in the middle of all of the academics.
I like the audible on that by the leadership academically, giving a larger window for exams. We used to have to cram it into 5 days, sometimes 4 days.
Here's Wright trying to make amends for Golden State. He's going to be out with surgery to a torn left pectoral muscle. Jones has come out of the Baton Rouge area, Bruley, Louisiana. First free throw's good there for Moses Wright.
Wright trying to get that free throw percentage up over 50%. He's 7 of 15 from the line coming into this. So not getting to the line a lot, but he's a guy with form and skill. He certainly should be shooting and knock him down better than a 50% clip.
Went 1 out of 2. He was a 54% free throw shooter a year ago, so something he continues to work on. Banks missed the turnaround. Rebound to FAMU. 43-15. Georgia Tech with the lead. And again, as we move further into the second half, those 15 points look more and more impressive from a defensive standpoint for Georgia Tech. There's another big play on defense. Muzureke had it blocked. Alston trying to walk
around the rim. He's been using his muscle, pushing post players out 6-8 feet from the basket, and then on the weak side, he's been coming in and contesting.
Alston missed the 3. Under 16 minutes to go in the game. That was Bryce Moraine showing what he can do, his first 2 points.
FAMU picking up full court. You're going to see some run and jump. They're in scramble mode, try to do anything to make the game ugly. They're almost there. 4 from the free throw line. Georgia Tech 6 of 10. But the story of the game has been those turnovers and Georgia Tech's ability to convert and really make Florida A&M pay for their mistakes.
Florida A&M, the team that is facing the travel, major challenges with travel through November, December, on into January. Yeah, they're in a stretch where this is the first of 7 straight games on the road. 14 out of 15 games in succession away from Tallahassee. Moses Wright got that rebound. He continues to be busy here today.
Coach McCollum really testing his guys with the non-conference schedule, but the low majors need to fund the athletic programs, play those bye games early on in November, December.
Austin so good from three-point range, better than 60% on the year from distance. He's got a dozen now. 46-17. Rattlers have made 2 trips east to Jacksonville. They've gone south to Jamaica, west to Los Angeles, north to Chicago. That's just what they've done so far. They got another West Coast trip coming up later this month. They'll go to Utah, play the following night at Oregon.
Playing on the road. Again, that was a team, Coach McCollum's in his second year. He overachieved last year. They were picked to finish 12th in the MEAC, finished 7th. They were 7 of 9, 7 for 9 in league play. Coach McCollum's been around for a little while, Richard, and he's trying to build a program here at FAMU.
Foul a moment ago was on James Banks, his second. Randolph could not take advantage of the free throw line. There is going to be
to gain an advantage. The minute you extend that arm and gain an advantage, boom, that's a no-brainer right there, Richard. Even I can make that call.
They saw the contact. It took a moment for the whistle, but clearly Moses Wright with his second personal. Another Florida A&M turnover. Their 17th. Nice touch pass by Alvarado.
Score.
Nice tic-tac-toe finish right there. Now Brandon Alston looking for his 15th point of this game. Brandon Alston's one of 2 Yellow Jackets in double figures. Keep in mind, his Georgia Tech career best is a 20-point effort last year. He's got a lot of time left in this one as the Yellow Jackets play with a 49-17 lead. Tech extending that defense. Ravenel extended his shooting range right there and finally knocks one in.
He was due for that. Good for Ravenel because he's had to work for every open look. There have not been many, but the looks today, he's had to work for them. Georgia Tech's defense has been stifling.
213 career three-pointers for the product of Green Forest Academy over in Decatur. Defense for Josh Pastner's team.
A nice opportunity for guys like DeVoe and Moore, freshmen, to just get repetition. Especially with Alvarado out of the game. You're preparing for ACC play. There could be foul trouble. Who's going to play the point when Alvarado gets some reps?
Third foul on Brandon Alston. Fifth Georgia Tech team foul. Ravenel drew the defense. Banks pinned it on the glass on Randolph. He's got 4 blocks in this game. You don't talk often about enjoying watching guys play defense, but James Banks, the shot blocker, DeVoe missed a 3. You look forward to his next opportunity to get one.
Seems like a guy that, he's not going to demand the ball offensively. He's an unselfish player. He's going to play hard. And it gives Georgia Tech kind of that big man, that anchor in the post, because without him before the Georgia Tech was kind of relying on A.D. Gay as their sole big man in the paint.
Lead Moore flying through to the glass for the lay-in. He's got a dozen points. Three ball, Bryce Moraine. Rattlers have knocked in a couple of threes now here in the second half.
It was a nice job by MJ Randolph driving into the paint, and I think he learned you can't serve that up to Banks in there, so he drove in, collapsed. It's an opportunity for him to get some rest, because this is a guy that we talked about earlier. He plays 35 plus minutes per game once they start getting into league play, or at least he did as a freshman. And FAMU, no one's really been able to get it going for them, so not just Ravenel tonight. Georgia Tech's defense has been just a little bit too much for the Rattlers to handle.
Brandon Alston's 15 points have helped in a big way for the Jackets. A dozen for Khalid Moore, and fouls. We haven't seen him much of late.
Shot clock resets, so 30 seconds on the clock, 11:08 on the game clock.
Gay tried to post up on his resume. Gay.
Throw the ball into you. Got to do a better job taking care of it. And AD's a guy that's very capable of finishing in the paint when he gets in there. He's got a very nice jump hook, but he has some problems when he starts putting it down on the floor.
Shot clock is down to 10. Anderson will get a screen. Stopping in the lane against Alvarado. Anderson has his first 2 points. Richard Anderson at 6'3", just all a junior out of Midwest City, Oklahoma, out in the Oklahoma City area. Came to Florida A&M by way of Seminole State Community College.
A bright spot, for Richard McCollum is Robert McCollum. Is FAMU is playing equal with Georgia Tech in the second half. Georgia Tech 15 points, FAMU 14. Now 16 to 15 FAMU. So coming out of the half, you got to celebrate little victories if you're the Rattlers, and that's certainly one, is their effort thus far in the second half.
Nasir Kaur had the bucket. Alvarado comes up holding his thigh as he tries to rejoin the play. Kaur once again drew the defenders. Reeves, his 3 went around and out. And Phillips wound up from Jonesboro. Again, Florida A&M does have players with connections here to the Atlanta area. Hector played at Jonesboro High School, also played up at Kennesaw State. And he came into the game. Their leading rebounder. You see him on the bench.
Phillips knocked down the first. He's 4 of 5 on the season, now 5 of 6.
Ends up 1 out of 2 on that trip. Turnover. DeVoe with 2 defenders on him. Again, Florida A&M.
saw there was DeVoe, his ball skill, the ability to back out of the trap. That's why he was ranked so high coming out of high school, his skill with the basketball. He made a nice play out of the trap.
Core threw it away. Banks is there again. He's going to wind up kind of filling a little bit of every quarter category on the stat sheet. Banks again dueling second of the first half. Now seeing his first duty of half number 2. James Banks is shooting 1 and 1. He's got that high arcing free throw motion. Makes the first.
And back to Sholin, the Katy, Texas native. Very skilled. Needs some time to mature, get in the weight room, adjust to the pace of play, but a guy that at his size can really put it on the floor, has a nice stroke, can make the three-point shot. Once he gets some experience and some muscle and he gets some more reps, he's a guy that is a very bright spot for Coach Pastner in this freshman recruiting class.
And he lists Katy, Texas as his hometown, but spent a good portion of his youth in Norway. He's there defending out top. Yellow Jackets getting after it on the perimeter on their defense. Core able to draw some defenders. That gave Melton the look.
Poor fouls. Not what you want to do is you want to give up contested threes, not foul threes. Melton, a 58% free throw shooter coming in the game. He's a guy that's an athlete, can really play on the defensive end. Just a heck of a high school football player.
Running back.
1,400 yards at Northview High School in Dothan, Alabama. Alabama's known for producing some football players. Hometown Falcons could probably use some running back strength today. I see a 34-14 score. The Packers having their way with their hometown Falcons.
Melton just went 3 for 3. Following those made free throws.
Sports fans, that is. History made last night at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium as the Atlanta United took home the cup in the MSL Championship. So very high moment for Atlanta sports fans last night at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But Arthur Blank, owner of both teams, brought back to earth today, looks like, at Green Bay.
James Banks missed. There is a certain Georgia Tech connection to that Atlanta United Championship. It all got started in their expansion season last year playing at Bobby Dodd Stadium here on campus. Under 8 minutes to go in this game. Georgia Tech playing with a 22-point advantage. Off a little bit of weave action on the perimeter.
You've got to celebrate the little victories inside the game, and certainly the Rattlers have come out competitive in the second half. There's no quit. They're playing hard. They're going at the Jackets, actually beating the Jackets 19-18 in the second half. So that's certainly a bright spot for FAMU.
Shooting numbers were almost identical as you saw. There's Christian Sholin missing a 3. Banks another rebound, had it raked out of his hands, battling to recover it. Simply outnumbered that time. Core on the break by Melton, swatted out of there by Moore. 3 ball no good for Richard Anderson. Some of the big moments in this game that have gotten the crowd involved have been on the defensive end. Here's Sholin, he missed the jump. Moore with a light finish.
Moore now with 14 points, but again, like you said, Richard, making it happen on the defensive end.
Core misses a 3. Umezarike and 1.
Get into league play with his size and ability in the paint. One of the dominant post players in that league.
Foul was on Christian Sholin. Umezarike missed the free throw. And James Banks with another rebound. Yeah, a 22-point lead for the Yellow Jackets. Sholin showing off some ball handling right there. Alston lost it on his hip.
Help defense. Florida A&M just a split second quicker to the ball this half.
Tech's got to move it. Shot clock down to 6 as DeVoe gets it to go.
Freshman is starting to get some quality minutes early on in his freshman campaign. And I'm excited to watch him develop as a player and get into that ACC play. Him and Alvarado, that's a nice bright spot. I mean, that's two very talented, skilled offensive guards.
DeVoe's been Evan Cole's out there once again. Curtis Haywood trying to get the ball in bounds as Sholin came back to help out. Rattlers have been pressing more here in the second half. Tough to go behind your back when you're in close company like
the backer will pick it up, and the other four offensive players, they need to come back to the ball and help Christian and get out of that trapping situation.
Moving down to 6 minutes remaining. Mizureke against Banks yet again. DeVoe with the deflection to knock it out.
In the matchup zones, they'll take care of the ball and have a pressure on the ball, but the length on the perimeter, they really get in the gaps and make it difficult for offenses to attack.
Melton got a super friendly roll that time. He's got 9 now. And Georgia Tech won't play again until Monday night, December the 17th, all because of exams. DeVoe ran into a brick wall named Ife Mizureke at the other end. Traveling call there against Nasir Cole.
Find him up. Looking like a guy like Melton that can come in and really impact the game with the ball in his hands.
You're happy with the guys who have the 2-to-1, 3-to-1 turnover to assist ratios. You're looking at a guy right there who was 7 or 8-to-1.
At Lawson State Community College, that's I don't care what level you're playing, high school, JV, freshman, those are good stats.
Moving down towards 5 minutes to go. I've got Sholin isolated over there. Gay feeding Cole. Tough angle to finish. DeVoe read the passing lane for the steal. Haywood to Cole, who was fouled.
Gather. But he's a guy, as he gets back healthy, battling some injuries early on, he will work his way back into the rotation. He's just a good passer, high IQ guy. Really can add value off the bench for Georgia Tech.
Cole had missed the last 5 games. He was dressed for the St. John's game in Miami but did not play. And now getting his minutes here this afternoon. 61-36. Georgia Tech is led by as many as 32 in this game. Anderson missing. And he has not had the touch from three-point range. Normally, he's had good numbers, good results from three-point range. Curtis Haywood.
Sholin did a nice job right there. He broke the press, found the open man.
Towards 40%, ideally.
And he's recruited to that. He's bringing guys that can shoot the ball. He said, I'm not going to bring someone in here that's not capable of knocking down the three. Just the game the way it's played these days, and analytically it says you have to have three-point shooters.
Tough spot for
also grew up playing his high school basketball. So Khalid Moore, great to see him kind of busting out today. Prior today, his career high was 6 points, so 14 points in the book during exam week. Impressive.
Mizureke. 24 Florida A&M turnovers. That's 8, make it 9 or so over their average.
Georgia Tech's defense can do that to you, Richard. They don't press and extend 94 feet. They really just do it three-quarters court, eat some shot clock, and then they fall back into those matchup zones, and their length can really turn.
So Shambari Phillips will shoot free throws. 5 of 7 in a Georgia Tech uniform at the stripe. He's got 4 points now in this game. Again, Phillips coming off the bench in the second straight contest after starting the first 6 of the season. And again, Georgia Tech has gotten bigger with James Banks now in the starting role, and Phillips, smaller player, assuming
Phillips,
a different role.
He's seasoned too. He played, significant minutes at Tennessee. Transfers. He's a local product from Cobb County. Played his high school ball at Wheeler High School, storied program. Home of former NBA great Sharif Abdur-Rahim. They put out a lot of high school talent at Wheeler High School.
Shot clock is down to 8. Justin Ravenel, again, with just 1 field goal in this game. Turns into a shot.
FAMU to 36 points. Florida A&M was averaging 63 points per game coming in. So again, Josh Pastor's defense has been the tail of the tape, and that is the DNA of this year's Yellow Jacket team thus far.
The Georgia Tech turnover there. They're quick to get after Ravenel, though. Got Cole off his feet. Nice recovery by Cole to block that shot. Bryce Moraine now with 7. They've all come here in the second half. Two minutes to go. Phillips trying to get the offense started in the half court, joined by Sholin, Gay, Obanda, and Cole. Nezarike turned Phillips away. Shot clock's down to 6 now. Sholin may have to do it himself right here. A score like this, that was kind of a dagger right there.
We talked about his versatility at that size. He does have some skill. Georgia Tech 4-3. Looks like they will go to 5-3, and shame they had the St. John's game in the bag, up 16 with under 15 minutes to go in that one. Shamari Pons for St. John's went off for 37, 21 points down the stretch, and kind of single-handedly willed St. John's to victory. Chris Mullen getting turned around up there in New York City for St. John's.
Seton Hall had that big win over Kentucky yesterday. Cole with his first free throw. All of his scoring has come from the line today. Evan Cole's 4 for 4 shooting free throws. So a minute remaining. Georgia Tech about to go to 5-3 on the year, while Florida A&M will drop to 3-8. In just another minute or so, the Yellow Jackets can focus upon exams.
Georgia Tech will have 8 days until they'll host Gardner-Webb on December 17th. So a long layoff, focus on the academics, but also a time to refine some things. Players can get with the assistant coaches, do some shooting, some individual development, watch some film.
Sylvester Obanda gets involved. 11 different Yellow Jackets score in this one. Nezarike, he's got half a dozen.
Exam week can always be tricky for coaches. There's kind of a fine balance between the mental health, the physical conditioning, how much film do they watch, how much time on the court. So Coach Pastor will have a chance to figure that out here the next 8 days.